Roger Tabor looks at a mysterious creature whose ability to survive has allowed it to thrive the world over. The domestic cat. But is it pet or pest? Part 3 of Cats.
The cat is the most cosmopolitan of creatures. It has made itself at home on every continent, no matter how cold or hot, how desolate or hospitable. In the foothills of the Spanish Pyrenees, village life is still lived at a medieval pace. Donkeys and dogs are kept as working animals. The cats too must work for their keep. Their job is to control the rats and mice that always plague these farming communities. These animals are far from cosseted pets. This is how cats have lived for centuries throughout Europe. Tolerated because they're useful, few people regard them as affectionate companions. To be efficient pest controllers, the cats need easy access and exits. We think of the cat flap as a modern invention. Yet for hundreds of years, special cat holes have been cut in these village doors. The cats signpost walls and doors as they make their way through the village. Old spray marks show that even modern metal doors are well used. In the village of Cosculano, even the church mice need controlling. Small holes were carved in even the most elaborate church doors. These Spanish cats have the slender Mediterranean build suited to a warm climate. Further north, cats were to become more stocky, and their most successful type of coat pattern may have originated in Britain.
This cat has the fine, narrow stripes of its wild African ancestor. But in the early 13th century, a new type of tabby appeared in Europe, the blotched tabby, and that has swirls and blobs of black on its pattern. And that darker colour gives it a survival advantage over its paler cousin.
After centuries of persecution and misunderstanding, the domestic cat certainly needed something to give it a survival advantage. The dark blotches helped the tormented tabby move unseen through the shadows of the towns of northern Europe. It wasn't until the Victorian period that the cat began to become accepted. As towns and cities expanded, crowded suburban terraces and alleyways provided the cats with both food and shelter. But new architecture was only partly responsible for the cat's newfound domestic popularity. It was cat lover Harrison Weir who finally proved the cat could be a popular pet. Weir organised the first cat show at London's Crystal Palace in July 1871. He was determined to improve the cat's tarnished image.
Don't do that to the poor pussycat. No, 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 no. Don't do that to the poor pussycat. Please don't treat him so. He was out last night, it's true, but he likes to cuddle just the same as you. So don't do that to the poor pussycat. No, 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 no.
Weir's ambitions for the cat were clear.
Long ages of neglect, ill treatment and absolute cruelty with little or no gentleness have made the cat self-reliant. But should a new order of things arise, then in but a few generations it will be an object of increasing interest, admiration and cultured beauty.
His ideas became fashionable, and cats became acceptable pets for rich and poor alike. In poorer areas, households were crammed in tightly. This provided more opportunities for cats to be taken in as pets. And there were more scraps for the wild living or feral cats to scavenge their existence. House cats became part of every street scene. In quieter areas, colonies of the feral cats became established. These colonies congregated around any source of food. But it was the dustbins that became a gathering place for any self-respecting alley cat.
All right, you clods, when you hear the sound of the cymbals, let's set a few speed records getting here. What's cooking, TC?
But Tom is the typical house cat. In real life, things aren't much different, except the house cat usually asks first.
Hello.
The fridge remains the focus of the cat's attention as he convinces his owner that he's hungry.
Hi, Kim.
The conversation is two-way, but much of the talk is silent body language. Kim, like most domestic cats, has plenty of food from the can. It means he doesn't need to hunt over a large area or range. Amid the tight patchwork of small town gardens, territorial dramas are played out daily. These walls and yards are the scene of Kim's border disputes. Our cats keep a careful eye on us. They see us as members of their own cat group. The area we use in our gardens, they recognize as their own. But all eyes are alert as a neighborhood cat goes on the prowl. He strays too close to the boundary of Kim's patch for comfort. Paths are marked by spraying, but also by rubbing scent from glands on his chin onto twigs. Kim stands his ground, confident in his territory. The visitor, his progress thwarted, edges warily back to the security of his own range. He settles down, saving face. His patch protected from the intruder, Kim can now move off and check out the rest of his territory. Cats carefully observe territorial good manners. Unnecessary fighting is definitely to be avoided. For kittens, play is all part of the learning experience. They need to prepare for this adult world. They have the teeth and claws to hunt and catch prey, but need to practice to refine their skills. To these kittens, the first kill is still only a daydream. Kittens can only learn to be efficient hunters if their mothers bring home prey. Yet even deprived of that training, they can still pick up a few tips in later life.
Meet my personal cat group. This is Tabitha, whose mother didn't train her, and consequently she only caught the odd butterfly in her first year. This is Leroy, who catches absolutely everything that moves and brings it home to play with, and that drives most owners up the wall. But why bring things home? Because I or another member of the group may take it away. But that's partly the point. Like inept elderly kittens, we haven't learned how to catch prey. And by playing with prey in front of us, he makes me or Tabitha compete to get it and learn those skills. And as a result, she's been able to catch her own prey.
Cats are affectionate pets. Smudge, a typical house cat, seems settled, ready to lap up an evening's comfort. He's fully grown, but stroking is a reminder of the licks of his mother's tongue when he was a kitten. But it's a different scene when the cat goes outside and enters the adult world of the night hunter. Senses are tuned. Smudge's attention is caught by a rustle in the grass. His keen night vision is alert for the slightest movement. Smudge avoids bringing his face too close, cautious of being bitten himself, until he subdued his prey. Even for a skilled hunter, the catch isn't always easy. Ginger remains an interested onlooker. The neck bite is swift and lethal. Still wary, Smudge continues to play with his kill. Exactly what our cats bring in has been much debated. Biologist Peter Churcher decided to settle the issue with the help of fellow cat owners in the Bedfordshire village of Felmersham.
Thank you. It's 2 bank rolls worth of things. Can you remember which day they were caught?
Willing cat owners filled their freezers with the remnants of their pets' catches for an entire year.
Monday, and that's Thursday. Thanks very much. See you next week. Bye.
The 78 village cats caught over 1,000 animals during the year. One cat even specialised in catching bats.
I was quite surprised because folklore has it that cats catch birds. And what we found was that the cats actually caught a lot more small mammals than birds. Although having said that, at certain times of the year, the catch was largely birds. But overall, small mammals were by far and away the bigger of the 2 items.
Gradually, a clear picture emerged of the effect cats had on village wildlife. Cats at the village edge caught even more than those living in the centre, because their ranges include fields and farmland. Rural cats catch far more than town cats. Ironically, it was the Churchill family's own elderly cat Effie that proved to be the best hunter. She plays with her prey, for unlike feral cats, it's not her only food.
I think that to look at the effect of cats on wildlife, you have really got to take a slightly longer view. And what's happening in villages like Filmersham, and probably in a lot of towns as well, is that the cat is now the major predator, and in a sense it's replaced animals like foxes or owls that would otherwise kill small mammals and birds. So in a sense, although the cats are killing a lot of animals, those animals would be killed anyway, but by other predators. So in a sense, it's not the house sparrows and the mice that are suffering, it's the effect that the cats may have on animals like foxes and owls and hawks.
But competition between cat and fox is not just over live prey. Even scraps put out to feed the cats are worth investigating for a hungry fox. Cats and foxes are usually fairly passive competitors, but there are exceptions. Smudge's attack was launched too late. Instead, Ginger felt the force of his aggression. Cat owners often worry unnecessarily about fox attacks on their pets, but the cats are far better armed for any conflict. There are few people to interrupt the peace on the remote islands of the Outer Hebrides. People have abandoned many islands, leaving derelict houses and the descendants of their cats. These cats have to hunt to survive. They can't depend on human handouts, and so need much larger hunting ranges than suburban pets. Many cats live and hunt around the large rabbit warrens on the island of North Uist. Their ranges overlap around the warren, just like the urban feral cats around a group of dustbins. Neither tigers or the cat's wild ancestors have ranges grouped together like this. So has domestication changed the cat's behavior? No, tiger and tabby are fundamentally the same when food is scarce and spread out. The cat's behavior only changes where there are easy pickings to be found in one place. More food, more cats. It was the Vikings who introduced the ginger cat to the Hebrides, and this warrior hunter relentlessly pursues rabbits, his main prey. Female cats like this one must hunt over smaller areas than the toms, so she rarely strays far from the warren in search of food. So the cat's ability to adapt its ranges from suburban back gardens to the open spaces of the Hebrides has enabled it to survive around the world. Even on the streets of Hong Kong, it's possible to find cats whose ancestors came from Britain. Domestic cats first reached China via an overland route from the Middle East. For centuries, cats have arrived in the busy port by sea. When the British took possession of Hong Kong, then the British blotched tabby gained its first foothold here. Cats of all colours, shapes and sizes can still be found around Hong Kong's Aberdeen Harbour. Kept as pets on the boats, the cats are usually tied up to prevent a watery escape. The cats of Hong Kong seem as numerous and cosmopolitan as the people. But Hong Kong had a well-established cat population before the British arrived with the blotched tabby. It meant that even this successful cat wasn't able to make much impact here. Chai Som-wee has devoted her life to collecting and feeding the stray cats of Hong Kong. At feeding time, her terrace is covered with a jostling carpet of cats. Every colour of cat seems represented here. Even in one family you can see stripes, blotches, ginger and white. As the British colonised the world, so too did the blotched tabby. It is the British imperial cat. But in some places, this imperial moggy was soon to become an unwanted pest. Here in the ornithology department of the British Museum of Natural History are cupboard after cupboard of island birds that have become extinct, many as a result of the introduction of the cat.
This is the kakapo. It's a large flightless parrot from New Zealand, and it's not yet extinct, but it is so close, and the cat is its main predator. These ground-dwelling birds are very vulnerable to the cat, but the most poignant of stories revolves around this small scrap of a bird. It's the Stevens Island wren. It lived on an island only a square mile in area, and we only know of its existence because the lighthouse keeper's cat caught it and took it back home. But sadly, that discovery was also its point of extermination.
Is when a fine clip is here of the land. The boatswain shouts out.
Ship's cats even accompanied the whalers and seal hunters as they exploited the natural riches of the sub-Antarctic seas. As the seal hunters left, many cats were abandoned on islands such as Macquarie. But of all the cats left to fend for themselves, it is the blotched tabby that has been the ultimate survivor. It seems unlikely that any living thing could survive here, let alone a cat. In such extreme conditions, even a dead penguin chick is worth scavenging. The only shelter for these cats is provided by the relics of the sealing industry. The temperature on subantarctic Marion Island rarely rises above 5 degrees Celsius. In 1948, a meteorological station was built here to monitor the harsh weather conditions. 7 years later, 5 cats were brought to the island as pets. Within 20 years, Marion was home to 2,000 feral cats. Each year they killed over 500,000 of the island's birds. In an attempt to control the cats, some were caught and injected with an infectious but lethal virus. Many cats died, but some became resistant to the virus. There seemed to be only one humane solution if there were to be any birds left on Marion. Teams of trained marksmen were flown in to hunt the remaining cats. Even the blotched tabby couldn't escape their aim. Australia is the only continent where cats are causing real damage. Now the threat to wildlife by cats is taken so seriously that specialists like Michael Gardiner practice radical solutions.
Cats are such a big problem in Australia. The best way to get rid of the problem is to shoot them. There is other ways, but shooting is the most practical and quickest way of getting rid of these cats. They all look nice and nice and fluffy when they're young, but these cats grow up to be larger cats, and you don't know what your cat's doing overnight. This cat could be out killing anything.
Australia has its own marsupial equivalent of cats. Sadly, this quoll or native spotted cat is rarely seen. In Britain, cats compete with predators like foxes. Here they compete with quolls and win. To protect Australia's native wildlife, the cats must be controlled. Clearing cats from small islands has been controversial. To eradicate them from Australia would be impossible.
Come on, puss, 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 puss. Louis, Chantel, come on.
In Victoria, they've found another way of controlling the night hunting activities of the cat. They've introduced the world's first cat curfew.
Come on, Louis. Come on.
By sunset, cats here are safer if they're on the right side of the cat flap. The story of the European domestic cat is one of triumph and trial. But its very success as a survivor has sometimes led to its downfall.
Next week, it's the turn of the posh cats, the pedigrees, from famous breeds to forgotten ones, when Roger Tabor goes in search of the Aristocats. That's next Friday at 8:30.
The story of the August coup in Gorbachev's own words, and exclusive material from the interrogation of the coup leaders.
Топ-лихана, соответствие с договоренностью,